What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We've got an awesome video for you today. Lindsay and I are going to go over what we've learned so far from the trading week. Today is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. We've got a couple of trades to talk about, a couple of lessons that we can pull out of the market. But before we get into all that, Lindsay, we appreciate you being here. How has your week been so far?
It's been good. It's been good so far. As you just said, lessons learned.
And I think that's
As
like
always.
always, yeah, because like when people watch our videos, I think they always want to see the good stuff that we do, but hopefully people start to get the idea that where we make mistakes, we want to highlight that so we can just think about it, even create conversation around it. Some of what we're going to talk about today to just get people thinking a little bit differently about how they're managing their trades, and hopefully then they can make better decisions as they go forward. But before we get into everything, I know we were just talking about it, but I got to plug the trading journals. For everybody that hasn't grabbed one of these yet, the link is in the description wherever you're listening or watching this video. The feedback so far has been awesome. Lindsay's is in the mail on the way to her right now. It's just a little bit further for it to get there. But once you get it, Lindsay, you got to give me some feedback as well. And for everybody else, just keep it coming, because if we ever want to make changes or we want to make it better, I always want it to be valuable to you guys. So now, before I flip my screen over, yesterday we talked about EurAud as being the trade of the day. You were in that trade. I was not. So we're going to have that to talk about from Monday. And then today, kind of like a flip of that, where I was in the ChfJpy trade today and you were not. Let's go back to EurAud on Monday. As I open up my screen and share this, tell us what you were thinking and why you liked this trade to start.
I just liked it overall. I was short biased on it, and I liked the TDI on the higher time frames, bringing that in to the 15-minute. So when I came to the 15-minute
on that 1 minute or on that 1 hour, you liked the L50 falling in the buy zone, but falling 4 hour clearly in the sell zone here, right? Daily, just barely into, it's kind of like in reset, but in the buy zone. But what I think was big for you, price action was outside the 8 EMA on the daily. On the 4 hour, it was outside the 8 EMA. 8 was under the 21. 1 hour, same thing. Clearly holding the 8 overnight. So I think price action on all the higher time frames favored you. So then you said 15-minute, then what happened?
So on the 15-minute, when we go to the 15-minute, I could see I had EMAs, full trend, perfect liquid 50, no divergence on the bottom, hadn't been oversold, and obviously bringing the higher time frames into add-in and confluence. The only knock I had in this was it was in the Asia range.
That's my biggest thing with this. So how did you justify, I guess this is what everybody was asking yesterday, how did you justify taking the trade?
So because the TDI that I have been studying and just trying to, really drill into the TDI on the higher time frames of what I've been noticing, that is what I took to add in as a confluence to trade this out of the Asia range.
Interesting. Do you find that the TDI is more important than the EMAs, or do you find that they're equal? Which one do you weigh more heavily?
I still would probably, I kind of would weigh more heavily on the TDI.
Really?
But at the same time, I still wouldn't really trade on the 15 minutes if my EMAs weren't aligned and weren't clean.
Okay, so let's be picky. Does this 50 above the 200 in the Asian session screw it up at all, or no, because they crossed here, it's okay?
Because they crossed.
Okay, that's what I thought you were going to say. What I liked about your idea was if you look from Friday, we have Friday's low right here, right? That pin low, and I'll draw a better box. That pin low here from Friday, it's a beautiful like landing point that then is broken when we start the week here, which would be Monday, like Sunday night into Monday, early morning. That level is then tested twice here, right before the London session really kicks in. So you're making these lower highs consistently off what we would look back to say is like Thursday into Friday's move. So you had that already set up on the top, and look at the structure. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So this was just another lower high with risk reward. What was your thought with the 17, 18 pip stop loss? What were you looking for on a target with this?
No, so with this, and really I was just going to, because it was at the Asia range, I had risk reward to the Asia low on the first part.
Right here.
I didn't have risk. Sorry, I saw the D1 is how I
Oh, you're right. From up here. Yep.
Yeah,
I remember you were talking about that.
I had the one coming off the 200 earlier, which came down first to hit the Asia range and then come back up. So when the 2 candle formation presented, because I usually say I wouldn't take an A1 in Asia range, but with me fine tuning, you know, the TDI on the higher time frames and still building confidence doing that, and it being a 2 candle formation, I knew that I had to size down into this position because it is something I'm fine tuning. And obviously not having the risk reward to the Asia low, but I said to myself to justify it was, I'm going to take the 2 candle formation because I know price action should then hold the 8. And I'll move my stop quicker. So after the next candle closed on the 2 candle formation, I moved my stop to cover my commissions to break even.
Got it.
And
so
I
you
knew
couldn't
then
lose any money at that point.
If it was going to turn and break the 8 and get me out, then I would take it out and then I would wait on a re-entry if it presented.
Makes sense. Did you use the pivots at all? Were you thinking like, okay, we broke the S1, this is coming through the S1, we should go to S2? Because at least from S2, you're getting 1.3R. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
ADR was 3.7R.
3.7.
So you had much, if you really could see this going to ADR, which it did, it actually went through that, you were looking at 4R on this thing. So no, I think that's a really good way to read it. It's sizing down because it's still in the Asian range, because you know, look, it is making lower highs, but it also bounced off this level once already today. The level was set in the Asian session. It bounced here, like you said. So it could bounce.
Yeah, I assumed it was going to come through it.
Right.
But I knew that after that the next candle closed, and that's where it, you know, you can see it did wick it again.
Yes.
That's when I said, okay, it's time to put the stop in at break even, cover the commission here, because if this turns, I want out it.
Do you ever draw any formations like this just to give you structure, or no, it doesn't really need anything for you?
No.
Doesn't mean anything. Okay. Just curious.
No,
I like everything you said about this trade. So to give you my perspective on it, why I hesitated on this was just that I was focused on other pairs, and because this was in the Asian range and it was a Monday, I wasn't thinking that this was going to break out and move through ADR being in the Asian range, having not broken out already. That's just my historical bias based on trades that I've seen in the Asian range, but I don't disagree with any of what you said about how to read this risk reward. And if, like you again, I agree 100% on the fact too, if you're looking at this, you're taking it with the anticipation that it's going to hold the 8 EMA candle by candle and at least make its way to the next pivot, because since it broke the pivot already above that, you know what I mean? So totally makes sense. But now here's an interesting question for you. So if we switch to ChfJpy, which was my trade today, why would you trade in the Asian range on EurAud yesterday, but then hesitate to not take the trade today when it already had broken the Asian range on this one on ChfJpy? So what was your thought process here?
So on this, as I said, I read my technicals all right, and I should have been in that when it retested the, you know, the 50 and the D1 and the Lips 50 was in. Everything ticked my boxes, and what held me out this trade was the 4 hour 800 being on the bottom.
Yeah, and you kept talking about that.
But I would have got, you know, risk reward to that, and I could have locked my stop. So I totally ignored my technicals today and let a support zone get me out, where yesterday I, you know, fully went on my technicals and believed in my technicals.
Right.
Not having risk reward to the Asia low.
It's interesting that your 4 hour analysis kept you out of the 15-minute entry. I think that's the biggest thing on your side to take away. Like, don't let, so what she's talking about, everybody, if we look on the 4 hour, I know we have the green and red thing coming in the way here.
And I could see, like, if when we look to the left, I could see that all the time how much that had rejected
consolidated. Yep. So you would see that today. I mean, look, the 4 hour bar did leave a nasty pin through it. You know what I mean? It is right on that 800 now. So you're not wrong. But I think the overall bias, just like we read on the other pair, look short. Yeah, look, L50's falling. It's in the sell zone now today. Price is outside the 8. If you look at the daily really quick, L50's in the sell zone. Price has been outside the 8. If you go to the 1 hour, L50's clearly in the sell zone this week since last week. Price was outside the 8. EMAs were perfect for shorts. So to me, this had, if not better, of a higher time frame trend than EA yesterday. You know, just to point that out, not saying you did it, you know, there's no right or wrong. We're just trying to learn. So that would be one thing too. My critique on this, I think, it didn't move much, right? Like, so for I had 2 trades on this, everybody. everybody on Instagram who follows me, because I was sharing it in the group and everything, but I had one entry. It fell here about 1.5 R. When it fell about 1 R, I locked my stop. It ended up coming out and taking me out. I closed about half the trade as it moved lower, and then I closed a little bit more as it came higher because I felt like it wasn't working. It wasn't moving fast enough. Ended up getting stopped. And then I got back in on the 2-candle formation. This was at like 10 o'clock New York time, 9:45. That ended up dropping a little bit better as far as like risk reward goes. Look, I'll show you really quick, just because the stop on that was so tight. Because in this 2-candle formation, if you go on the 1 minute, you can actually find bearish divergence here. So I had a break at the 50, like a D1, then it closed as an A1. So I felt really good about that as a second trade. That was I had a 6 pip stop on that because I had gotten in right before that closed because of the D1. So I was comfortable to get in right on the end. 6 pip stop. It fell 16. Like I got 16. I was up and I closed some of it at 16. But even that's about 3R. That's okay. But I was looking at this to go to 80R today. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, this can fall to here. 4R from the first entry was like 4.5R. I thought there was a lot of potential in this because again, I think it literally, I'm not a gambling man, but I bet you tomorrow we wake up and this falls in the Asian session. I just know
technicals are telling us to be short in that today, and that's where it was a lesson learned for me when I looked at it. And I was kicking myself because I was like, Lindsay, you totally ignored the technicals today and just focused on that EMA.
That one thing kept you hesitant. Yeah, but listen, you also have to remember this. This is ChfJpy. This isn't a pair that we're always like, this is the fucking pair, because we're not always like that with this pair. It's got that CHF in it, which can make it choppy. Plus, if you zoom out to Friday, it's clear as day. This is Friday's low. Look at Monday respecting that zone. It's chopping in that zone today. So it's clear that this 114.50, 114.55 level is a sensitive area that it was having some issues with. But again, I think on my side, and this is what I know you would take out of it too, we have these rules in place where we move our stop loss, we take profit, and we make sure that no matter what happens, even though I want this to go to 80R, still taking a bag, still making some money on this, then you stay alive. You come back for the next one and you keep doing it. Listen, just like your trade yesterday, you made 3% almost on EurAud. Look at how that held the 8 EMA all day. It's a beautiful trade. My thought was ChfJpy can hold the 8. So yes, today wasn't a huge winner for me, and that bothers me sometimes, but I always bring myself back. My journal helps a lot because of the questions in it, but I always bring myself back to thinking, today it turned up and stopped me out on both of them. No big deal. Look at her trade yesterday. I know that there's going to be big rips like that in the future. All I need to do is not lose. That's it. And I can hit those big rips too. I think people just get caught up and then they end up chasing trades because they miss bigger moves, and then they end up digging themselves too deep. You know what I mean? You can't get out
regardless, I mean, even though like we've over this trade and I've seen it's not moved, but when I look back at it and I review it, I know that was a trade that I should have pulled the trigger on and I didn't.
Regardless, right. That's 100% true too. You're just judging the rules. Yeah,
that's the kind of galling part for me is, no, Lindsay, you should have, regardless if it only moved, 1.5
even if it had been a loss.
Exactly. We don't know that when we're pulling the trigger to go into the trade, but the fact of the matter is you should be pulling the trigger when your rules tell you to.
Exactly. No. So I think the biggest thing, and like even right now as we're looking at it, it looks like it wants to continue to come lower. Look at the TDI.
Yeah.
It's never a question in our videos of are we trading the right direction or not?
No.
Do you notice that? It's never, ever a question of, oh my God, it reversed. No, this is every time frame telling us there's a bias. Now the 15-minute telling us there's a bias. We know where that probably ends up more times than not.
Oh, that's definitely coming off. Because I bet that there'll be some divergence in that 1 minute just now.
Let's see. Yep, right here. You can see prices rising, and you can see right in there that RSI just falling a little bit right there. See it? Yep. So divergence on top of these A1 signals is very powerful. I've been in situations like this where I had a trade where it'll look great and it'll be so close to being great. And for some reason, and it's normally, I don't have any stats on this, but it is something in me telling me that it's JPY pairs more than not, where they don't, or NZD pairs. It's these Asian session pairs that sometimes are choppy for like a day, like a New York session, London session, but they look clean and then they tank or they move in that direction in the Asian session when the market wakes back up. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But again, the like you said, the process is the most important thing.
It's
So
most important.
no matter how this ended up, winner or loser today, the technicals in this lined up with what we do. So I think you have to judge yourself to say, what got in my way, so I don't let it get in my way of executing next time.
But see, even and I'm going to look back at my journal tonight, but I am sure
it was that 4 hour
in the summertime, or no, it was actually before the summertime. It was when we run the black shirt calls, so that was a while ago. I can remember saying similar to this about this 4 hour, and I was going to take my EMAs off. If you remember, you'd said to me, take that 800 off, because it's held me out before in the beginning. So it's definitely in my journal.
But this is what and even what I've been saying, we've been telling people this on our coaching calls. On the 1 hour, 4 hour daily, I'm not looking at anything else except the 8 and 21. That would, if you go to the 4 hour and you take off the 800 today, like, let's just do it really quick. Take off even that and the 50 and the 200 too. I mean, you look at this, 8 and 21 crossed back here 5 days ago.
5 days ago. I looked.
So it's like, I think that simplicity is a really big thing for us. It always has led us to more success. So going forward, I would just say keep it simple, because you're smart. You know that you know this stuff.
I know
that one zone, shouldn't scare you, because what if that all these time frames lining up is now telling you that it's going to break that resistance zone, that support zone, So no, it's been a good week so far, though. Don't you think?
Lesson learned.
Yeah, of course. But it's been a good week overall, don't you think?
Yeah. The
how do you feel?
Have been good.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you feel like, because we go back a month ago, mid-October, it was pretty slow. I feel like the last couple of weeks since November got started, it's been pretty good. We've had some pretty good trades,
Yeah. I've had good trades for November. Compared to like September and October, it was slower. We had trades, but it was still slower.
I don't want to think, going into December that it's going to get slower. I'm hoping it just stays like this. Like, I'm hoping it just continues to present. Yeah, that's the best thing we can ask for. So, yeah, I feel really good about this week. My thoughts, I guess my only other big lesson so far is the social media stuff has always been a distraction, where I'm tweeting it, Instagramming it, talking about it in the chat. Sometimes today, like, I felt very all over the place, and I need to.
Less is more.
In my social media, less is definitely more too. Yeah. Because trading is definitely the number one priority. So it's good to come back and do these recap videos and think about everything again. And I'm going to go over my journal today. We still got the Facebook recap, but this is good for YouTube, for the YouTube community. Hopefully people find some value in this.
Yeah, I think they always find value in our trade recaps.
Yeah. So we'll keep it coming. If you guys enjoyed the video today, let us know. Lindsay, I appreciate your time. I know everybody, like you said, always appreciates our time. So let us know if you guys have any questions. Let us know if you guys want to see more trade recaps, more conversations about trading. If there's any questions that you want us to answer, let us know. We're always here to help. And we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks, Linz.
Thank you.